There's a disabled TTC bus. And that's the intersection of Keele and Dundas Street West. And hey there, today is Wednesday, October 14th. It is 5:46 p.m. and the temperature right now is a fairly nice 14 degrees Celsius. And I'm here in the Junction neighborhood. That building across the street is the Campbell Block. And it says 1888 on top. That's the date the building first opened. Now housing an A&W. At one point, a long time ago, there was a hotel at that location. And there's the look to the west through the junction. There's the 41 Keele bus and an 89 Weston bus. Just north of here is St. Clair, and that'll take you up to an area, well, if you were to head north here, known as the Stockyards. But the Junction is a really nice neighborhood, and I'll be walking through part of it on this one. I'll be heading east here. Well, it's more like southeast as Dundas veers to the south. And then at Dupont Street, I'll walk through a very underrated neighborhood, the Junction Triangle, along Dupont, and then at Lansdowne, I think I'll just head south down to Lansdowne and Bloor. Boom, breakfast. There's one of those near me in Yonge and Eglinton. Lost and Found record shop. This neighborhood was founded back in the late 1800s. There's a local watering hole. Originally it was known as the West Toronto Junction. It was annexed by the city of Toronto in the early 1900s. Gas Junction Cannabis. This is a newer addition to the neighborhood. Cool Hand of a Girl. It was known for its Irish, Polish, and later Portuguese communities. And in the opposite direction, there's a stretch known as Little Malta. But much like Pape Village in East York, this area was known for being under prohibition for a very long period of time. I think that was between around 1904 and 1997. That restaurants and bars were not allowed to serve alcoholic beverages. was a very blue-collar community back then. I think there was just one too many bar fights. Perhaps the area was most famous for its pig processing plants. And up until the 1970s, apparently there was quite the stench throughout the area. That's why the area to the north of here is known as the stockyards. And there were still some processing plants up until a few years ago, believe it or not, up in that area. I think it's roughly bound by St. Clair to the north of here, Runnymede to the west, which is in the opposite direction. The rail corridor coming up, I'm about to cross. And somewhere just south of here, maybe around Annette Street, there's the Lucy McCormick Senior School, where zero imagination went into the architecture of that place. Pilates place. Junction House. I think that's just the front entrance to the condo, maybe. What's this lady doing? Lonesome Kitty Feline Hotel. So Dundas goes straight here all the way into Roncesvalles, and then it veers east again. And just on the right of this intersection is Annette Street. There's an up express train going by. I think I remember seeing at one point where this Auto Experts is, used to be a coffee time. I think there's around a population of 15,000 or so in the junction. This is the south end of Old Weston Road. And this is the beginning of Dupont. There's that sun, which will be setting very soon off to the west. But once I head underneath this rail corridor, I'll be entering the Junction Triangle. Called that as there's a triangular formation formed by 3 different rail lines, and where they meet is how this neighborhood got its name, the Junction. There's the Canadian Pacific line to the north, the Canadian National line to the west, which would be this one, and a Metrolinx line to the east, if I got that right. I'm heading underneath not just a rail corridor, but also the West Toronto rail path. That's a pedestrian and biking trail that opened up in 2009. It runs alongside this rail line. And eventually it's supposed to be expanded south and go into Liberty Village. Pedestrian bridge closed. We can take a quick look. There's been a lot of construction in this area. They say that as just south of here, it is completely closed off. But we're starting to get some nice fall colors in already, at least. I really like this stretch of Dupont coming up. There's a lot of neat establishments on it. I think it's kind of a lesser known and underappreciated part of town. There's an old warehouse building, and you'll often see cyclists hop up onto the sidewalk there. They don't want to contend with how narrow it gets under that underpass. A lot of drivers do not do as they're supposed to and leave a full meter between them and their vehicle. Let's see if either of these guys stay on the road. They look like they will. But the population of this neighborhood, I think, is around 11,000. Many of Portuguese and Italian descent. Sporting Toronto. I don't think that's in business anymore. Wallace Espresso. Really neat looking plant shop.
Just a little bit lower.
There's a place called Graham's Pizza. Don't know if that's a dude's name or someone's grandmother. Kind of wanted to cross the street. The last few times I've walked through here was on a live stream, and I was on this side of the street. community center. Oh, that's neat. Trivia escape rooms. Mataccioni? Probably Portuguese or Italian. It's got like a really neat gritty vibe to it. This ice cream shop is not open. Just some older homes right on Dupont. They've got a Trump. Wearing a MAGA hat. That guy in the Canadian toque has slayed the dude in the MAGA hat. That skeleton there is wearing a Trump hat. Weird obsession with Trump and a lot of Canadian flags. I knew I was on this side of the street for a reason. So like the Junction, this was historically a working class neighborhood, but it's been gentrifying in recent years. There's a neat little spot across the street. And here's a very unusual Toronto Public Library. This location will be closing soon as they prepare to move to a new branch. Looks like they've already closed up. That is a tiny, tiny library location. A lot of this building stock is well over 100 years old. Colombian street food, that place smelled pretty good. There's a chain that's been popping up all over the city, Gus Tacos. They've got a little slice of the suburbs. A strip mall with parking out front. Can't say I'm a fan of that. But I'd like to try that Thai lime. This is Perth Avenue. I'll be leaving the Junction Triangle when I get to the other side of a rail corridor that's coming up, one that has recently been worked on. That's kind of an unfortunate development across the street, just a row of homes, no retail. Really kind of sucks the life right out of the area. Can't say I'm a fan of seeing that on a somewhat major corridor. This here is Symington Avenue. There's a vacant lot. Well, since there's a light, maybe I'll cross to the north side again, rather than just stand here. There's an interesting plaza and a beer store. Those are dropping like flies in the city. And the bakery. There's the new public library. And what looks like a pretty nice restaurant right there. And here we have the Henderson Brewing Company. Bradley's Junction Bar and Grill. I guess they're just featuring Henderson beers. Yes, let's start right as the pedestrian is crossing. Good job. Piri Piri Grill. That library looks really nice. That's a new elevated portion of the rail line that Metrolinx recently completed. I wonder how people got up there to tag it. And this is the old, more at grade crossing. I think this leads up to the Berry line. It goes up through Downsview Station, if I'm not mistaken. Do correct me if I'm wrong. Some interesting art. And coming up is Lansdowne, so I'm going to head south. Once I get to Lansdowne, this neighborhood is known as Wallace Emerson. There's a Shoppers and a Food Basics attached to this building. And that building was pre-construction. There we go, dummy. This was originally to be a Metro supermarket. And a lot of the people that bought into the project were complaining that it actually ended up being a Food Basics, which is a lower end brand from the same company. personally would see that as an upgrade. Mostly the same stuff, lower prices, but I guess it took down the cachet of the building a little bit. And if I were to continue going straight on Dupont, we get to where the Galleria is. I guess you could say was. There's not much of it left. There's a mall where there's a big new development going in. The Just Right Cafe. But southbound Lansdowne we go. It's really getting dark early these days. See that new development around Dufferin and Dupont. Again, this is another historically working class neighborhood. And a lot of the housing stock dates back to the 1920s. Well, these are some very nondescript apartment buildings. They're about as unimaginative as it gets. There's a Dollarama. So between that, the Food Basics, and the Shoppers, you've got pretty much everything you would need. And a lot of these homes are from the 1920s. Just go around these people this way. It's quite narrow. There's the South Asian Women's Center, right next to the Whack-Ass Coffee Co. Is Lansdowne Avenue, kind of similar to Annette Street. It's not quite a major east-west corridor. But there's still a fair bit going on. Some Halloween decor going up. That's a really unique looking property. The free Amazon packages. And look how deep that is. I wonder if that's multiple apartments. It'd be almost thumbnail worthy if it weren't for that pickup truck in front of it. There's a neat little stretch of retail coming up. These bins, these sidewalks get pretty narrow. Dispensary and exotic snacks. It's probably referring to edibles. Hey, that house has a Blue Jays flag. Jays are playing the Mariners tonight in Game 3. I'll be going straight home after this. Well, almost straight home. I'll pick up some dinner. And I'll put on the game. I see a big crane up ahead. That used to be the site, I think, of an old Globe and Mail newspaper printing facility, and it's been a large field for a very long time. We'll see what's going on with that site when I get there in a few minutes. Donna's Food and Drinks. That dude's decked out in Blue Jay gear. Supreme Nail Spa. Paris Bakery and Pastry. And in the summer I went by that place, Peppers, and it was packed with people. There's barbershops in the spirit. This is Wallace Avenue, and Ubisoft, a large software developer, headquarters are along Wallace here. Back there, just over there to the west, you can see that water tower on the right of the screen just poking up. That is where they're located. Yeah, that's been a giant vacant lot for a very long time. I'm pretty sure there was a newspaper printing press on that site, and they later were owned by the Toronto Star. Now it's turning into housing. Be long until it's quite dark at this hour. have to adjust my recording plans around this time of year if I want to do something when there's daylight. I need to leave the apartment a little earlier. '47 bus can be caught there. I love seeing corner stores like that. Authentic Mexican cuisine. There's a neat touch on mirror. I wonder how many drivers even know that's there to use it. Oh, they're building a community center and long-term care home there. Looks like that's a province of Ontario funded project. I'll try to get out and do a Halloween themed video or two in the coming weeks. Might do the same thing I did last year, do a residential / street party live stream. And I think Halloween falls on a Friday. Well, of course it falls on the 31st, I almost said. Talk about nondescript apartment buildings. Well, it gets the job done, I guess. There's an entrance to Lansdowne Station. And on the other side of Bargain Club Superstore. Well, this cafe and bakery is closed up. I think that superstore is closed up too. There's a sign in the window. We are closed for renovation, it says. There's the 47 Lansdowne that's going up to St. Clair. We'll just go get a peek at the intersection of Lansdowne and Bloor. And I'll wrap this one up. That cafe is closed. Momo Heart. Well, I hope you enjoyed this one. Do let me know your thoughts and comments down below, and hit that like button or dislike as well. Got an Instagram account, which I seldom update at Johnny Strides, and there is a super thanks button appearing down below if you wish to say thanks that way. On the intersection of Lansdowne and Bloor. Thank you so much for watching. Kind of semi-scouting out a dinner place. That's my problem. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. Yoink.